Good morning students, welcome to the class. In the previous class we have completed up to the relational data model. Okay, hierarchical data model, network data model, relational data model. Up to this three types of data model we have completed. Okay, today we have discussed about entity relationship data model, or we can say also that ER data model. Okay, so let us discuss in detail. Entity relationship data model or ER data model. Okay, so entity relationship data model or ER data model describe the structure of a database with the help of a diagram, which is known as ER diagram, or we can say that entity relationship diagram. Okay, ER model is a design or blueprint of a database that can later be implemented as a database. ER model is a high-level conceptual data model diagram. Okay. ER data model is a high-level conceptual data model diagram. It helps to systematically analyze data requirements to produce a well-designed database. Okay, the ER model represents real-world entities and relationship between them. So, in this ER model, it will describe the entities and the relationship between them, and also it is a blueprint of a database. Okay, that can be implemented later. Next, we have discussed about the components of ER model. There are three components of ER model. One is your entity, second one is your attribute, third one is your relation. Okay, first we discuss about the entity. Entity is a real world thing, either living or non-living, that is easily recognizable and non-recognizable. An entity can be place, person, object, event, or a concept which stores data in the database. The characteristics of entities are must have an attribute and a unique key. Okay, every entity is made up of some attributes which represent that entity. Okay, so entity is a object, a real world thing, either it is a living or it is a non-living. Okay, and also it is easily recognizable and also non-recognizable also. That means, for example, a place, person, object, event, concept, these are used as a entity, and here we can store data in this database. Okay, so entities have the characteristics such as attributes and also have a unique key. Okay, every entity is made up of some attributes which represents the entity or which describes the entity, which describes about the entity. Okay, for example of entities are person. Person means employee, also a person, student, patient. These are under the categories of person. Place means store, building. These are for example of place entities. Object means machine, product, car. These are the example of object entities. Event, for example, sale, registration, renewal. These are the entities under the event entities, event category. Or concept means account, course. These are also a entity. So these are the real world thing or real world object, or which is recognizable or non-recognizable also, and which is a living thing or non-living thing, and also. Okay, so these are the concept of entities. Next we discuss about the entity type and entity set. An entity may be an object with a physical existence, a particular person, car, house, or employee, or it may be an object with a conceptual existence, a company, job, or a university, course, etc. Okay. An entity is an object of entity type, and set of all entities is called as entity set. That is, U1 is an entity having entity type student, and set of all students is called entity set. In an ER diagram, entity type is represented as, for example, here this is a student table, a student entity, roll number, student name, age and mobile number. These are the attributes of the student entity. Okay. So student is the entity type. Which type of entity means? Student entity. Okay. And the entity set of entities, which is also called as entity set. Okay. That means here is one set. That means in this table 4 records are stored. So here 4 entities, 4 sets of entities are under the student entity. So that means entity record 1, entity record 2, these are called the entity set. For example, E1 means all roll number, name, student, that means one record is a entity. Okay. That means it can describe the student. So these are called the entity set. Okay. I hope all of you clearly understand about this entity, what is entity and what is entity type and what is entity set. Okay. Next we discuss about the attributes. Entities are represented by means of their properties called attributes. All attributes have values. For example, a student entity may have name, class and age as attributes. There exists a domain or range of values that can be assigned to attributes. For example, a student name cannot be a numeric value. It has to be alphabetic. A student age cannot be negative, etc. So these are the concept of attribute. Attribute which is describe the entities. Okay. And the for example, is if a student is an entity, in a student entity, name is a attribute, class is a attribute, age is a attribute, and here it also there exists a domain range. What do you mean by domain? Domain means here it will give the values. Okay, it will domain means here it is values. Okay, values of the attributes. So in a student name कभी भी तुम लोगों का न्यूमेरिक नहीं हो सकता है, हमेशा स्टूडेंट नेम इज स्टोर्ड एज ए अल्फाबेटिक. ओके. एंड स्टूडेंट एज ऑलवेज बी ए पॉजिटिव नंबर, इट कैन नॉट बी ए नेगेटिव नंबर. ओके. सो दिस इज द concept of attributes. Next we discuss about the types of attribute. First is our simple attribute. Simple attribute are atomic values which cannot be divided further. For example, a student's phone number is an atomic value of 10 digit. Phone number is always have 10 digit, not even 9 digit, not even 10, 11 digit. Okay. So this is the concept of simple attribute which has a unique atomic values. Next is our composite attribute. Composite attributes are made of more than one simple attribute. For example, a student's complete name must have first name and last name. When we ask your name, then all of you say that your full name. That means your first name, middle name and also your last name. Or we can also say that all of you say the first name and surname. Okay. So this is the complete name. That means name attribute can be again divided into a sub category, which is your first name, middle name, last name, in this way. Okay. So these types of attribute are known as composite attribute. Next is our derived attribute. Derived attribute are the attributes that do not exist in the physical database, but their values are derived from other attributes present in the database. For example, average salary in a department should not be saved directly in the database. Instead, it can be derived. Okay. And also another example is that age can be derived from the date of birth. If age attribute or a value of the age we cannot be insert, then after that also if we can calculate the age of a student or of a person or a customer from her date of birth. Okay. So this is the concept of derived attribute. Derived attribute always, the derived attribute does not exist, but it is derived from the another attributes which is present in your database. Next is our single value attribute. Single value attributes contain single value. For example, social security number or your registration number, okay, or your roll number. This is a single value attribute. No more than one value can be stored in this attribute. Okay. Multi-value attribute. Multi-value attributes may contain more than one values. For example, a person can have more than one phone number, email address, etc. Okay. So this is the multiple. That means the attribute which has multiple values, that is known as multi-value attribute. Okay. So in this diagram, student is an entity, and these are the attributes. Okay. And attribute student's entity is always represented as a rectangular symbol, and the attributes are always represented as a oval shape. Okay. Here in the student has roll number, has the attribute is such as roll number, phone number, date of birth, and name, last name, first name, middle name, and also here this one is your wrongly typed DOB, this one is your age. Okay. So that means here roll number will be underlined. That means this is a key attribute or primary key attribute, and the double oval shape is your phone number. That means it is multi-valued attribute. Okay. And with the attribute which is represent in a dotted line, that means it is a derived attribute. And the attribute which has another attributes, that means name which has first name, middle name, last name, this is a composite attribute. Here we can also say that composite attribute. There. Okay. So this is the concept of attribute and different types of attribute. Next we discuss about the relationship. The association among entities is called relationship. Relationships are represented by a diamond-shaped symbol. For example, an employee works at a department. A student enrolls in a course. Here, works at and enroll are called the relationship. That means employee is a entity, department is an entity. Within these two entities, the relationship is works at. And here another example is also there. Student is an entity, course is an entity, and here the relationship is the enrolls. Okay. Next we also discuss relationship type and relationship set. A relationship type represents the association between entity types. For example, enrolled in is a relationship type that exists between entity type student and course. Okay. And in year diagram or entity relationship diagram, relationship type is represented as a diamond symbol and connecting the entities with the lines. In this way. Okay. Student is an entity, course is an entity, enrolled in is the relationship, and this student and course are connected through the relationship is the enrolled in. Okay, a set of relationship of same type is known as relationship set. The following relationship set depicts S1 is enrolled in C2, S2 is enrolled in C1, S3 is enrolled in C3. That means this is the student entity and these are the your enrolled. Okay, and these are the course. Student 1 enrolled in course 2, student 2 enrolled in course 1, student 3 enrolled in course 3. Okay, so in this way relationship set we can find. Relationship, a set of relationship of same type is known as relationship set. Okay, so in this class we have completed up to this. Next class we have discussed mapping constant. Okay, thank you.